going over last night's fight night card. Sandhagen versus Yadong. I wanted to make a video last night, fresh off of it, but I was tired and I was still trying to survive some football bets and still a little under the weather. Allergies are killing me, but excuse me. Bear with it. Por favor. Cameron Van Camp, Nicholas Mata. It was kind of a toss-up. I said in my earlier video that I thought Van Camp would use his distance a little bit better. If you listen to my videos, there's nothing that makes me more annoyed than when a taller person doesn't understand how to use distance. Cameron Van Camp does not use distance. When Mata came on first, threw his first punches, I knew Van Camp was in trouble. Eventually they were going to connect and close the distance. That's what happened. Basharat versus Gravely, however you want to say it. It was a good fight. Basharat has a lot of potential. He's not where everybody makes it seem. He still was in danger of getting clipped if Gravely been a little taller. He just kind of leaves his chin out there. But he is pretty dynamic, and he can throw a lot of different combinations and kicks and different things. He pushes the pace, but as he gets higher up in the division, it's something that's not going to be effective. He's going to have to be a lot more in defense and particular about his strikes. Jillian Robertson fight. So, normally I parlay the first two fights, but I didn't because I wasn't sure on this Van Camp, and I'm glad I didn't, which I could have done the next two, but I wasn't sure about the Robinson fight. The Robinson-Agapova fight is one of the two fights that I didn't really watch any film on. I just kind of took a quick synopsis of their history and size and all these things, and I picked. So I picked right. When Agapova came out, though, I thought, man, her size, she is going to be picking this girl apart, and she was doing it. So Robertson did what she was supposed to do, and what she does, apparently, is just goes through these chokes. But that choke was tight. Like, when she started, they were like, she's biting her tongue, and her mouthpiece came out. No, she was already choking at that point. She already, when her arms kind of came out, and you thought, maybe she's going to tap. No, they were locking. Her arms were locking up, she was seizing. Biting down her tongue. I mean, she was having a full-on seizure. That was a bad choke. The ref was late on that one, but good for Robinson. She got it done. Now to Daniel Zellhuber, overrated. Sorry, I had something in my throat. What I was saying is overrated. Trey Ogden and Damon Jackson, as I said in my pre-card video, were two that I was really, really high on, and I changed last minute. When I say last minute, I mean at like 10 a.m. I'm already late putting my picks out. I just, again, wasn't feeling well, and I was like, I had the graphic ready and everything, and I was just like, I've got too many dogs on this card. I had like 5 or 6 picked, and I was like, I wanted to kind of protect my percentage on my picks, because last week crushed me. It took me down like 5% for the year, and I kind of went with the crowd and listened to other experts, and I shouldn't have. I took the kind of consensus of some people, and I know better than them, and I just got to rock with my picks. So shame on me for that, and I paid the price because Zellhuber busted. He and Sabatini busted my parlays, so that's what I get. But Zellhuber got outclassed. There was nothing special about this kid. I know. If you look at him, he's tall, he's big, he can be dynamic, but he hasn't fought any good competition, and it really showed yesterday fighting a veteran, a 30-year-old, something with just experience. He got completely outclassed. That's the biggest thing I could say about it. At no point was Ogden in trouble. I thought Ogden was going to be able to take him to the ground and win there, and a lot of people were like, well, if he gets knocked out on the way to doing that, but they were sleeping on Ogden all around, and even myself, his ground game was a lot better. He stuck and moved, and it's like a full-on adult picking on a teenager, and that's really what it was. He just outclassed him, And kid's got a lot of growing to do, and he needs to leave the cockiness behind when he starts to grow. Next, Gomes and Loma. Early on, I was big on Gomes when the card first, when I started looking at it, but I don't think she's fought that much competition. She threw a lot of strikes in her other fights. In her last fight, I think she threw like 256 strikes. Here she went through 66. She was more calculated, and it's probably because she knows the damage she could take from a more experienced fighter, a Muay Thai fighter. But I knew she pushes forward, she pushes the pace. She wants to get in there and stand and bang. But if you're going to do that with a Muay Thai fighter, you're going to take some damage. You're going to take some elbows and knees, and that's what happened. To be honest, I kind of took a quick little few minute nap during this fight and woke up and was like, cool, Loma got it done because I saw it going that way. But when I went to the ground, I was kind of like, I don't know, snooze fest. But good for Loma, got it done. Giles and Kosi, this is the other fight I didn't really do much research on besides looking at their opponents and their history and their size. It went how I thought it was going to go, except for when Giles got Kosi and the guillotine and Kosi stepped over to counter it. It really makes no sense. If you're ever going to put somebody in that guillotine choke and he didn't put his arm under and he just held it as he went to his back, it makes no sense. If you're not going to come under and start to do the choke, let go of that. Because the moment he couldn't, you can't. Once he steps over into that side control and starts to counter it, I mean, his eyes look like they were going to pop out of his head. He was one of those squeeze dolls. That was the only time he was really in trouble. Not that entertaining of a fight, but Giles got it done. Damon Jackson, Pat Sabatini. Like I said, I was huge on Jackson. I didn't know the news about his brother, and that sucks, and that's sad. And if I did, I probably never would have been big on him just because that's a crazy thing to deal with. And it's a thing we don't know with fighters and even any athletes. That these are people. At the end of the day, they have things going on. They have arguments with their spouses or things going on, a mortgage, and he lost his brother somehow. But it turned out to be one of those awesome sports moments, like when Brett Favre's dad died and he played against the Raiders, and numerous other events have taken place where people have overcome crazy obstacles and odds in the moment of triumphing over tragedy. And that's what he did. He came out and he put Sabatini away. It was an awesome performance by Jackson, highly underrated. Shame on me again for jumping off of him. I didn't see it going that way, but I saw him winning. I just, at the end, too, I kind of thought Sabatini had enough strength to just kind of bear hug him and just hold on him and annoy him and outpoint him that way the whole match. It would be boring, but awesome for Damon Jackson. I'd like to see him get higher opponents before they just kind of waste his career. Anthony Hernandez and Marc-Andre, this was the way I thought it was going to go. Hernandez looked a lot better, though, than I seen him look. They said on the broadcast he looks a lot more trim. His hands are a lot faster. His confidence has always been there. He just assumes he's going to win. DC called him out for his cussing. That was kind of funny, but kind of a whole move to just call him out on national TV and then shame him there, but whatever. Great job by Hernandez. I know he can dominate on the ground, and on standing he did. I mean, he didn't give any respect to Marc-Andre's strikes, and he just bullied him. He trashed him, and he just went right through him. Luckily, Marc-Andre, I mean, he's probably hurting today, like concussion or neck pain, but luckily he didn't break his neck, because I don't know if I've ever seen somebody literally get dropped on their skull, and he did. He was bloodied up. He was beat up. Awesome performance by Hernandez. Bozer versus Nascimento. Nascimento did what I thought he was going to do, except for when he kind of got gassed and he just froze up and he almost lost because of it. But what I didn't like to see was when he was sitting there trying to just trade punches and strikes at Bozer, especially in the third round. And when time was running down, Bozer just started coming out with a flurry of strikes. Nascimento at times was just, I thought his strategy was going to be just push him against the cage. He had 30 pounds on him. He's going to push his weight on him. Kind of hit him in the clinch, and then when they stepped out of the clinch. But I think when he was literally in the center of the ring trading punches with him, it made no sense. You got to have a better coach in there. When I see things, I'm just like, why is your coach not yelling at the top of his lungs? Stop doing that. Take him against the fence. I mean, what are you there for if you're just going to sit there and let him do a bad strategy? It couldn't have been their game plan to say, hey, you're much slower than this guy. He moves around. His hands and his feet are way faster than yours, but you should try to just sit there and trade punches with him. Luckily, he still got it done. I had him in my parlay, even though it didn't matter. Pfeiffer, I had him in my parlays, but I also had him in the 2-pick with Sandhagen that ultimately won some of my money back at the end. Armadovsky and Pfeiffer kind of went the way everybody really thought it was going to go. One thing I didn't like to see was Pfeiffer wasn't just standing. You know, when Armadovsky's moving around the ring, you really want Pfeiffer to stand in the middle and kind of just turn and follow him straight, but he was starting to chase. And I didn't want that to happen because Armadovsky could just throw a hook when he's getting chased and just stop and just catch Pfeiffer. So luckily that didn't happen. Pfeiffer threw a cool fake jab and got that closing shot. Much bigger guy. That's where everybody thought it was going to go. Good for him. We'll start seeing him step up in competition. Now he's recovered from that injury and he's racking up some wins. He's going to need a bigger win than Armadovsky, who's probably a fight away from getting released from the UFC, if not before that. He's lost 4 in a row now. Fili Algeo, I told you I thought this could be fight of the night. Pretty close, pretty good fight. Unfortunately, Algeo didn't get the win. Fili showed up and was probably the best version of himself. His last fight, he didn't look focused. He's kind of in and out. He looked a little bit bigger and he pushed the pace a lot more. This is an awesome fight. This is kind of what I expected from Jourdain a couple weeks ago. Blew it, but yeah, it was a great fight. One thing I would say, I thought maybe it was a draw or either a little bias, I guess you could call it. Algeo got it in the 3rd round. I didn't agree with Algeo being on his back, having his back taken. He got out of 2 really good choke attempts, but after that he was holding Fili's wrist, and regardless of what Fili says in the post-fight press conference, he said a lot of shots were hitting him in the skull and it was kind of annoying, but they weren't doing anything, and that his chokes were way more damaging than those punches. I totally disagree. The chokes don't have a lasting effect unless you gassed Algeo out, and if you gassed him out, he wouldn't be throwing strikes because, again, you have to have gas to be throwing strikes. I would say he probably landed 20 to 35 strikes. Unresponded. Fili was just laying there. At one point, he kind of just looked back and just like, man, he was the gassed one. He just didn't want to give up the position, but he wasn't doing anything. So I think Algeo won the fight with those strikes. I mean, if you look at, honestly, he'd probably be under 120 total strikes. I don't know what the definition is and what they count significant, but these are probably down around 60, close to his. I mean, he outstruck him. Look at the strikes, the significant strikes, the head shots, the body shots. I mean, he dominated everything except for the time of control. And that control doesn't mean anything because for at least 2 minutes of this 418, he was just getting his skull smashed repeatedly. I mean, you see those types of punches. Normally a ref will step in and say, hey, give me something, do something, or he stand them up. I think Algeo won the 3rd round because of all the strikes he landed. So I give it to Algeo, but good on Fili. Rodriguez and Chitty not so bang. Really disappointing performance. Chitty just completely shut down and quit, balled up. So he really is just a heavy hand puncher, and he's not that dynamic. Shame on me for going away from Gregory Rodriguez. We've seen him do this before, where he gets busted up and it looks like he's done, and he just comes back and puts the guy away. Originally, when I looked at this card after the last card, the very first thought was bam Sandhagen, bam Rodriguez, and then they had Sodiq Yusuff, bam. I already had a 3-pick I was taking. I got away from Rodriguez just because when I looked back at his fights, I know he had more ground game than Chitty, but when I looked back on a loss from 2020, which is kind of stupid, but I don't give Jordan Williams much respect, and he got KO'd by Jordan Williams. And, I mean, Jordan Williams is, I mean, that's his only win out of his last 5 fights. It might be even worse if I go further back. Jordan Williams sucks to me. And the fact that he knocked him out and I looked at it, I just thought, okay, he's susceptible to getting caught, and Chitty could catch him because he's way more powerful and better than Jordan. But good on Gregory. It was an awesome performance, and Chidi didn't have enough heart to hang in there, or conditioning, call it what you want, but Rodriguez got it done with that nasty cut. I'm glad they didn't screw him and they let him keep going. Sandhagen, Song Yadong went the way I thought it was going to go. Not necessarily a cut, although one of my followers did say it would be stopped by a cut by Sandhagen, so good on him. Hopefully put money on it, because that's a pretty good prop. But Sandhagen makes me nervous, man. That TJ fight, I thought he won. And then when he, against Jan, he just didn't do enough. He kind of just let off the gas. He has all the tools to win these fights, but it makes me so nervous because it seems like he's out there sparring and trying new techniques. Y'all can hear that. That's my dog drinking water. He's trying new techniques. It's almost like he's bored, so he's trying different things. He's putting himself in harm's way. So I didn't like to see that. He kept throwing that freaking flying knee. It was this far away. It wasn't landing. I was afraid that Song was just going to throw a bomb on him next time he tried it. So I'm glad he stopped doing that. But just a really dynamic fighter. Kind of like Dominic Cruz. We know the way he moves is real dynamic and different. Some of the judges had Song winning the first 2 rounds. They're out of their mind. There's no way that Song was winning this fight. But I'm glad I got the stoppage and Sandhagen didn't get screwed again, because it's partially on the judges, but it's partially on him too, because again, he's just doing so many different things. I don't think the judges are used to seeing him, and they're giving these other fighters more basic attempts at things. They give more credit to it. Song was not that mobile, and he was the same way I think he is. He's predictable with his combinations. He just throws jab, jab, hook, jab. He kind of just ducks down, throws these combinations, and I really thought when he threw his combinations, he could be caught by a kick or a knee. Ultimately, that knees and elbows are what did it, busting him open. So good for Corey. He's talking about maybe fighting Cheeto next. I will be betting on that fight, and I will be taking Cheeto heavily. Cheeto's not Song Yadong. He's going to come forward. He's going to push that pace. He's not afraid of all the dynamic stuff Corey does, and it's not a good fight for Corey. I think Corey's kind of peaked. This is where he's going to kind of be. He's going to hang around the top, but he's never going to get the belt. I still see it happening. But good fight, good card. On to the next one. But I really, again, can't wait till 280. But we got this next card coming up, and there's like some time off between a few of these cards too. So cool, gives us more time to prepare, put some bets together. Hopefully y'all won some bets yesterday. I only won on football, and I've got a huge one on football still going. So the bet I won on UFC is not really enough to share. It was just a $35 win for Sandhagen and Piper. But appreciate y'all watching the video, and talk to y'all later.